Hey everybody, thanks for being here. This week we're in Southwest Washington for winter steelhead, and then we're just outside of Portland, Oregon on North Fork Reservoir for a good old-fashioned stalker trout catch and cook. Brought to you by Corning Ford, Procure, Clackercraft, P-Line, Max Lure, Fishfield, Brad's Fishing, Valley Marine, Ole's Fishing Charters, and Fishing Products. Now, if you want to learn how to catch more fish, stay tuned. I'm Justin Wolf, and this is Angler West Television. It's a cold February morning, and we're on the water for winter steelhead with Jason Handley and Dave Ing.
Today we're up on the Southwest Washington River here called the North Fork of the Lewis, and we're just getting going for the morning. We're kind of getting a late start, but it's cold this morning, and we're gonna hopefully catch it as the water's warming a couple degrees. But there's a few steelhead in the river. It's not lights out, but it should be good enough to go out and find a few fish. It's been a long time since we've had any significant rainfall, so a lot of the other local rivers are getting kind of low and clear. So figure if we come out here and get a little late start and see what we can find.
I haven't been up here in 15 years. No, it's been probably 5 years. But I don't come up that often, so it's always a new adventure.
So the Lewis isn't a long river. It's I don't know what the total length is, but it's not real far up to the dam. We started out up here by the hatchery at the meat hole, and you can also launch down by the golf course. We just start up here because there's some good water up above that fish is good in the winter time, and we're gonna go up there and kind of pick that apart first, and then we'll work our way down river towards the golf course afterwards. But seems like a lot of times up above can be pretty good, so we're going to start out up there and see what happens. We brought some rods for bobber dog and bait as well, but we're going to start out first couple passes here with the double bead setup, bobber dog and beads, and we're going to do that for a few passes, and then we'll probably switch out throughout the day. It's early yet, but there actually has been already a spring chinook caught out of this river, so I figure if we can run a bobber dog and set up with a double hook and a gob of eggs on it, we got a chance at both. So, I mean, odds are we won't get a chinook, but you never know.
I used to buzz up here quite often for cohos later in the year in the fall, and the steelhead stuff was limited as far as when I did come up here. Usually jumped in with Jason or somebody else, but this river can be a heck of a lot of fun when the fish are in.
On this, we're running the P-line high vis braided line, and nice thing about it is it floats real high in the water and easy to mend and keep on top of. It makes it good for this application. So that first pass I went through, I just had a 1/4 ounce weight on there, and it seemed to be a hair bit light, so I'm going to step up and go 3/8 on the next pass. Get me down a little faster and a little easier to control that way.
Hey Jason, you're using slinkies now. What happened to the stick weights or the little round balls?
I still use those sometimes. It just seems like when the water gets a little lower and you're in boulderier type stuff, you have a tendency to snag up less, so it's just a little easier to control. So as far as the colors, what I'm starting out with this morning, I got the sweet pink cherry on top, which is a kind of a brilliant fingernail polish pink color. And then on the bottom, I got a mottled Charisse bead here. This has got the Charisse color with the white flake on it. These are both really productive.
The water conditions look perfect. Color's great. Height is good. Current seems to be about right. I think when it gets up a little bit, warmer, another degree or two, ambient-wise, it should help turn on the bite. Usually does. I know a lot of guys that, don't go fishing until 10 o'clock in the morning this time of year just because they want it to come up a little bit in temperature-wise.
So this run, like many others, obviously starts out deeper at the top end of the hole and shallows up as it goes down. We got to the bottom here, and it's real shallow through here and super fast. So this time of this period of the run, we'll usually start at the top, and if it's too deep, we'll start a little lower once it starts flattening out and shallowing up, and we'll try to keep in that 4 to 7 foot depth range, and usually it's kind of midway through the hole to the tail outs where the sweet spot is. So it's always good when you get down to the bottom, just run back up and start all over again. So we're going to switch over to a bait rig now. We went through there a few passes with beads and no success yet, but this spot usually holds some fish. So I think if we switch over to a double hook setup and run a gob of eggs through there, I think we'll probably have some different success. This is the I got a bunch of pre-ties here with beads. This is the fishing leaderboard box. This one's got the pre-tides in it for the beads, and then down at the bottom here I have some double setups with corkies or cheaters for running bait setups. So both have their days, but on these I run the fish field float here in the large size, and I run a bead above it and a bead below it, and I run roughly a 9-foot leader splice of P-line CXX spliced onto my braid, and then I just run about a 4-foot leader to a double hook setup with a corky. And this setup is actually pretty effective for spring chinook and winter steelhead.
Welcome back to the North Fork of the Lewis River. I'm Justin Wolf. The steelhead are chilly and so far haven't been impressed by Jason and Dave's beads, so maybe a little bait is the answer.
What we're using today is it's just a steelhead cure from ProCure, the fuse out of the jar. And then I just, once they were all cured up, I just poured a bunch of ProCure borax on top of them to keep them, in the freezer till I use them. And we'll go give it a whirl.
So a lot of times with the steelhead cures, they're a lower sulfite base cure. They're more sugars and borax and things like that, and salt. You start adding in a bunch of chemicals. There's been millions of fish caught on borax or sulfite based eggs, but it's just steelhead don't seem to be too keyed into chemicals like salmon are. So for steelhead I use a really mild cure, and these eggs are actually Dave's. I got some cured up here as well, but it's basically the same cure we're using. So it's either way, they're both good productive cures. There wasn't nothing there, which is unusual. So we're gonna run down and try the next hole down around the corner and see if there's some fish in there. We will find them eventually. Gotta wake them up. Finally, we earned that one.
Yes, we did. Yeah, I just went back to a bead a cast or two ago. Looks like a pretty good fish. You ready, Jay?
I'm ready. All right. Good job, Dave.
Thanks for the entertainment.
Yeah. We're gonna pull over right over here on the beach. It's a wild fish, pretty one. So the top bead we had a sweet pink cherry. In the bottom bead, we had that mottled Charisse, and it looks like the mottled Charisse was the one that hit. In Washington, we're not supposed to take them out of the water, so we try to pull over to the bank and get a good clean release. But we would have held it up for a good picture, but it's a little difficult up here. So
yeah, sometimes these fish are onto the beads more than they are the bait, and I had just switched back here 10-15 minutes ago and paid off.
We've been trying kind of switching between the bead and the bait and running both, and I've had a lot of good success on this river with bait, but we gave it a fair chance and went back through with the bead. Dave had a bead and I had bait on that time, and the bead's the one that got bit, and so we'll just let the fish tell us and we'll go with that. This river isn't necessarily known for the biggest winter steelhead. There's some big ones in here though, don't get me wrong, but it's not like some of those Olympic Peninsula rivers, but that one was decent size, and there are some decent sized ones in here, so we'll see what we can find. Woohoo! That might be a summer fish.
That's a big one.
It's going nuts.
That's a big one.
Pretty chrome fish. Wild winter or summer fish? It's just coming out of the water a lot. Well, wild winter. Just like to jump. Kind of rolling them back in, so.
There you go, bud.
So that one was on the light pink right there, and it had some shrimp krill super gel on it. Just a little bit on the outside of the bead, and that was the trick.
Up next, we're going to North Fork Reservoir, which is part of the Clackamas River, to do some trout fishing. But first, here's your fish field tackle connection. Now, if you're just getting into float fishing, try something that's going to really make mending your line and managing your float a lot easier, and that's the P-Line HydroFloat. P-Line HydroFloat is a special spectral line that's thermal coated that makes it almost like a real thin fly line that you can cast on a spinning reel or a bait caster. It's really cool stuff, and it will make your first experience of float fishing a lot easier. And if you're a seasoned professional, you'll really like it too. Try the P-Line HydroFloat line. It's available at fishfield.com. Now, let's go to North Fork Reservoir, where we got some stalker trout ready to be caught and cooked.